you can if you want to. Bear in mind there are different components to grip strength, and you'll particularly want to have holding strength to deadlift rather than crushing strength, which is different. So you could do some sort of dead hang every day if you wanted to, but I wouldn't want to add too much intense stuff because your hands will wear out. And again, if you want to step up your grip strength training, you can before a competition, an important part. Don't be afraid of straps. Would sumo be a safer alternative to conventional dead hang competing? I don't know about safer. I find sumo to be more comfortable for myself. It's basically just how you feel comfortable, but I would recommend training both at least to a basic level and then specializing from there. I don't think there's anything to lose by training both stances and then focusing the heavyweight for one in particular. It's always very specific, but I recommend getting comfortable with both. Just for your hips and your back and everything, a slightly different grip as well. But basically, don't be afraid of sumo. It's a proper lift, believe me. Yeah, no worries. If you've got long legs, I'd recommend experimenting for conventional different stances. So try super narrow grips, so slightly physical leg, sorry, stance, and then a slightly wider stance. Bear in mind you want to have your arms outside of your legs. So just keep that in mind. And the wider the grip, the more it's going to tax your upper back, really. Sorry, I'm just kind of going on here. Bo, good one day upper body, next day lower body is good. Are you suggesting training upper body one day, lower the next day, and then just repeating that for training every single day? If so, I can't in good conscience recommend that. But alternating upper lower is a good idea in a week. Maybe my favorite split is probably 2 upper bodies, 2 lower body days in a week. If you really, really wanted to train upper lower body once every day, every alternating day, you could. But I wouldn't recommend it, and you'd have to make a lot of allowances for it, and you have to be careful with the lifts you're doing because you have a lot of overlap. From trying to deadlift one day and bench press the next day, your back's going to be tired. You're going to have potential issues there, so be aware of that. If you've got really good self-control, you can maybe do it. But if you have to ask a question, you're probably not ready to do it in the kindest way. Then again, you want to do pull-ups one day, press ups the next day, that's fine. I wouldn't recommend doing heavy weight without any day's break. I can't in good conscience recommend that.
Cool. Does anybody else have any other questions? Please feel free to ask. Does anybody want to come up to the panel? If not, this will just be an opportunity for me to let Chris kind of like talk more about his interests. And when I was speaking to him, he was talking about how he's very fascinated in wanting to shift gamers into becoming people who are more interested in being fit. And I think Discord is perfectly the best platform, and especially like a server slash community like ours, where we've got like a mixture of like gamers and people who are really into like fitness and sports in general. And I'll just give Chris the panel to kind of like talk about his his interests, his long term goals, and plug as much things as he wants to. And thank you very much to everybody who joined. Although it seems like people who joined asked their questions and left. It would have been nice if they stayed on to the very end, but that's understandable. For anybody who did ask any questions and missed anything, there will be a VOD. It's streamed, so feel free to follow the Twitch, and also I'll be posting the VOD on YouTube as well. Thank you very much, and Chris, the panel is yours. Talk as much or as little as you want.
Wow, these dangerous words. Thank you. Thank you again for the opportunity to be here and for everyone asking questions. I hope I've done you justice. Any more questions do come in, do ask them, and I'll stop what I'm talking about and go into that. So yeah, my current focus is I'm working with gamers and streamers and all sorts of digital creators. I think you're right, Discord is a great place for that, and hopefully there are some more gamers I can reach in here. I think gamers have long had a really negative stereotype. Yes, there are some people who are really into fitness in gaming communities. Guys like Lol Tyler, Sony recently, if you guys have watched WoW streams or Black Desert Online. but these guys are kind of far and few between, and there are anomalies, and there's also the big distortions. People see these people who are really into fitness, who are really jacked. Like Canute as well on streaming. He's a former bodybuilder, obviously. That's not accessible to a regular guy or girl who wants to get into fitness. People think the bar is set way too high and they stop themselves from starting. So my real focus is setting the bar low, getting people into healthy habits, into losing a bit of weight, being a bit more active, getting up and moving, and to basically improve their health and fitness and realize how much more energy they can have by having an active and healthy lifestyle. So I've currently got 4 streamers I'm working with who are going to start their journey soon. Really excited to see how that works. These are just people who are streamers part-time, but they're busy people. They've got full working jobs. They've got families as well. And these people who may have been thought they wanted to get into fitness but didn't have the opportunity. There are people who didn't quite have XQC. Yeah, perfect. People who don't necessarily think fitness is for them, and my job is to say that's not true. You're gonna get away with this one. You can feel better. You can feel healthier. That's great. Bug-dates QC. I don't know if I could handle that, to be honest. That would be interesting. Another question. Yeah, sure. 2 scenarios. Clearly wake up in the morning, have a light breakfast with oats and maybe a light protein shake. Then hit the gym and do high intensity. Yeah, that's fine. I've been considering changing it to add light fasted fight card when waking up. Then light. Honestly, either is fine. I don't put a lot of faith into fasted cardio. If you feel comfortable getting up and moving straight away, that's a great way to start the day. Get a bit of sunshine, get moving, that's great. Just be aware of how your own body reacts to the food in your stomach, because I know if I eat right before lifting, I'm going to throw up and that's not going to work for me. It's entirely up to you. It also depends what the rest of your day looks like. As a rule, I'm a fan of doing strength training before any cardio. If it's a slow cardio, light stuff, that's fine. Anything intense cardio and I'll put any effort into, I don't want that to get in the way of my strength training. So for today, I did leg training today. I trained hack squats, I did a leg press, I did leg extensions, and then I did 30 minutes of zone 2 cardio. So that's the way I would structure it myself. Any other questions? Do keep them coming in. So yeah, previously I've helped people with powerlifting, with people losing weight. I tend to have, when I talk to people more in person, I trained women to start lifting weights from being totally skinny, afraid of weights, to being confident. We've got a couple women up to deadlifting 120 kilos, which I'm very pleased with. Benching the big wheels up to 60 kilos in the UK, and the bench press, which they always absolutely love. Obviously, the aesthetics of building the booty. I had to write a full, I wrote a full booty building workout the other day, which was quite fun to write. But that was a fully comprehensive, all the way up for booty building, which is quite fun to do. Don't often get to do that very often. But generally, I work with people for fat loss, people getting into shape. Be sure with a doc about my knee issues, suggested new stuff. Actually, I looked a lot of my knees too sensitive right now. I wouldn't mess around with joint issues, to be honest. You only get one lot of joints until you get the replacement, like my grandma has. So take it easy, don't do anything heavy. For knee issues, I tend to recommend people do lots of calf work. Generally, knee issues are caused by a lack of strength in the muscles around the joint, around the knee joint. So that would be the quads, the hamstrings, and then both sides of the calves. So if you haven't done any toe raises, not like calf raises, heel off the ground. This is bring the front of your foot off the ground, toes off the ground. I would work on that. Work the tibialis anterior on the front of the leg. That tends to give you a lot of relief for that. But I wouldn't recommend any barbell movements. I'd recommend a range of motion that's comfortable for you, but take it easy. And again, you only get one pair of knee joints, so do be careful of that one. I don't really feel comfortable. I'm not a physio. I won't maybe save that one for the doc when it's back. I'm afraid I can't answer that in good faith. Strength before as well. Get some carbs comes in. Yeah, maybe do that physiotherapy, Matt. Maybe do that physiotherapy. It'd be a good idea. That's what I'd recommend. I'm cutting, so considering doing fasted cardio is a way to burn fat faster. So fasted cardio doesn't burn fat faster, I'm afraid. Generally, I prefer to people to lose weight through diet rather than exercise. That's a big one thing I talk about as well, actually. I stop people doing marathon cardio sessions to lose weight, and we focus on the diet. We focus on filling foods, getting some protein in, getting in some low density carbs in to fill them up. Carbs are not the enemy. Carbs aren't bad for you. Create a deficit through your diet, without being hungry all the time, because that's not the way to fail is to be hungry all the time. Then we do strength training to build strength, to build muscle, to build confidence and feel better about ourselves as well if we can achieve things. And then maybe some cardio, but cardio is for health. Cardio is not for fat loss, and that's one of the biggest messages I like to preach. Cardio is not for fat loss, it's for health. You shouldn't be trying to outwork a bad diet. You can do it, but it's bloody uncomfortable to do, so I don't recommend doing that ever. Oh, yes. Yeah, I'm afraid I'm not a physiotherapist, so I can't really answer that one, I'm afraid. But I would recommend strengthening the muscles around a joint that's injured and easing into movements, body weight, doing progressive range of motion slowly. Let's look with Doc. Here's a show on doing cardio. Yeah, no, yeah, and just bear in mind, bodybuilders are on a slightly different schedule to other people. If you're not actually doing a bodybuilding a bodybuilding show is incredibly specific. So don't try to model your training or your diet or anything around someone going to a bodybuilding show unless you are yourself going to a bodybuilding show. It's like going on Instagram, you see these enormous juiced up guys doing workouts, and you think, oh, I want to be like Larry Wheels. He's not, if you're not built the same stuff as him, not putting the same stuff into your body, you shouldn't be emulating their workouts, particularly. You should be doing the basics, then talking to your coach to find something more specific if you want to step up a bit. So you can create a calorie deficit by exercise. That works, but I don't recommend it, and it's a way to burn out. I don't find it very sustainable. Hi, Sexus. How you doing, man? Yeah, Lobster Man, absolutely, no problem. Happy to help out. If anything comes up later, guys, tag me in things. I'm not in this. I haven't been fully committed to this group recently, but if you want to tag me in anything, I'm happy to answer questions if you're comfortable doing so. Any questions, Texas? Sorry, no student. Congratulations, Gordo. Congratulations on getting the 5th degree white belt. Good job. Doing well there, man. In what martial art is this?
Judo.
Portuguese name is that. Interesting. Still taking all questions, guys. Dan, you got any questions? You're just happy lurking? Not a problem.
Cool. If nobody has any other questions, I'm actually yeah. Anyway, if nobody has any other questions, I'm actually really fascinated in what you said, Chris. So we can probably turn this into like a, if you do have time, kind of like more of like a podcast discussion. And anybody who does want to listen into like our discussion, please go ahead. I was fascinated when you were talking about helping streamers get into fitness, and that's actually very fascinating. Do you work with like big streamers, mid-level streamers, new streamers, and how is it like trying to build that culture into someone who feels comfortable in sitting down hours, playing games and streaming and just talking to their chat? Because as someone who, I know the type of like culture that's built around streamers where it becomes very complacent, where you feel more comfortable, you probably have like a mini fridge next to you. It's much, much easier just to get straight out of your bed into your chair and start to stream than to build up a habit to have like a good conditioned mind where it's like, okay, I'm only going to stream for this amount of time, then I'm going to exercise, and I'm going to either come back to streaming or I'm going to take time off. How is it? How do you like experience like pushback from your clients when it comes to trying to build a good habit for them to follow?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm working with a couple small streamers at the moment. I'm happy to work with the bigger streamers if I could reach out for that. Any listening, do reach out. But basically, it's about building smaller habits that are realistic and then building up from there. So I'm not going to say to someone who's streaming for 8 hours a day, how about you stop streaming, stream for 4 hours instead and go to the gym for 4 hours, and also you make all this food and prep this food, and then you go for a run, and then you go to bed, and like there are certain things you just can't expect people to change
Mhm.
because for streamers, a lot of it is their it's a hobby, but also it can be their main income source. So you don't want to mess with someone's income, obviously, and there are certain restrictions from that. Often streamers go to bed really late because they're streaming through until 3, 4 a.m. Um, Unavoidably, they're sitting in a chair for 6, 8 hours at a time.
Mhm.
So basically, my job is to start offsetting that in small ways, and also build in some allowances. So rather than saying, cook all this food from scratch, I can say, here's a grocery list of foods you can order, have the groceries delivered to you. Here's a certain amount of pre-made food. So it could be pre-cooked chicken, for example, packaged salad. It doesn't have to be this stuff you've grown from the ground yourself and then
Mm.
cooked yourself all the time. You can just assemble food, that's fine. And also accept people are going to want to order takeaway. So I'm doing my part of my time. I'm finding lower calorie takeaway meals people can have. So saying I'm going to order Chick-fil-A, I can say, well, in that case, you can order this, and then you can work your calories around it and just fit it in. Which again, some flexibility. Sometimes you want to get up, you're working late, you don't want to be doing breakfast in the morning, so we add calories later on. Try to balance it and make it more of a flexible lifestyle rather than a restrictive, oh God, I need to do this, I need to have this, 5 meals a day of protein and then have all this other boring salad and stuff. It's basically about making things accessible and realizing they're actually just people.
Mm.
And there are certain commonalities everyone needs to work on for their fitness. We can tick those off, and then we slowly build up from there.
Okay, that's good. That's very interesting because you're talking about understanding their lifestyle and building kind of like a beginner plan, workout routine and nutrition plan that they can stick through rather than giving them something that's strict that's going to most likely cause them to lose, motivation and interest to commit to it. And I actually do appreciate that because that's kind of like the approach that I have with like fitness, even anything in life. Like whenever I'm trying to, pass on knowledge or pass down like some sort of like personality traits or condition someone to doing something that's appropriate relative to the goal that they want to do, I'm not necessarily going to be strict and say, you must do this, you must do that, what you're doing. I'm going to be more likely to be like, okay, so this is your lifestyle. These are the micro steps that so this is like the main goal that you want. Here are the milestones that can help you get to your goal. These are the micro steps in your life that you can adjust just a little bit to help you get to it. And yeah, cool. And I know you said like you kind of like suggest them to still stick to like did you say takeaways and stuff like that? But I'm certain it's not just like fast food takeaways. It's more like I think there's like HelloFresh and all these type of takeaways that exist now, where they're more healthy takeaway type meal prep meals rather than
Oh
getting
yeah, man.
like
I'm not
Maccadees.
saying order takeout every day. I'm
Yeah,
just saying, I'm saying it's unavoidable at some point. They're going to want to do it,
yeah,
and often, if you tell people they can't do something, what's going to happen? They're going to want to do it more.
yeah.
So instead of saying this is off the table, I'm saying, right, you can do it. Here are your options here, and I can look at it and saying, all right, this is actually going to fit your calories for the day. This is
Mm,
going to fit your protein. Whilst it's not the perfect meal, in isolation, part of a full diet and a healthy lifestyle, it does fit. That's fine. You shouldn't be trying to eat healthy 100% of the time because it just doesn't work. And often people do that, they get orthorexia, they get eating disorders
mm,
basically, and also your body finds it harder to break down the unhealthy food when you do eat it, and that's when you get intolerances and things. So I think planning reality into it.
mm.
HelloFresh, I've tried HelloFresh before. It's all right, but what happens for that is it's food delivered and then it sits in the fridge and no one cooks it, and you just wasted money on
Okay.
it. Mixed experience depends on your cooking experience, but
Mm,
basically that's why I tend to suggest people do for, I call it not like cooking but assembling food. So you'll
mm,
buy some chicken breast that's been cooked, you'll buy some rice, or even just making a healthy sandwich isn't a bad thing. Bread's not the enemy, carbs aren't the enemy. It's basically, yeah, making things good options, and then people develop an interest in cooking, for example. They think, oh, maybe I cook this chicken myself. And you go, oh, perhaps you could do that. That would be a good idea. And lead them to it slowly without having these dramatic lifestyle changes, because yeah, it's helping people make better choices, which is important. Um, yeah, I think that comes from, again, a bit more about my backstory if you're interested. I worked at a university in the UK for about 6 years as a resident tutor,
mm-hmm,
which meant I was living in halls with students, supporting them around the clock with issues and things.
mm,
So I'm familiar with people into new environments, trying new things, and young people in that way. I'm quite familiar with that, which has quite a strong mental health element to the role.
mm,
Which I think is really important to talk about mental health as well. I know it's not exactly what we're talking about now, but I think fitness is a huge part of mental health. Being physically active, being healthy is important to people's mental health, which we've seen as a big crisis throughout COVID and for everyone, but men especially at the moment, I think, so important to think about.
mm-hmm,
So I think fitness in gaming community, people tend to be quite isolated. People tend to be on their own. Gaming is generally quite a solitary activity, and
mm-hmm,
streaming is quite solitary. Yes, you have a community, but you're generally by yourself.
mm.
So anything you can do to support your health, mental health is important. Having a community around you is really important. So I do quite a bit with a group called Alpha Dogs. Have you heard of it at all? but they're a group who support men's mental health particularly, and they do really good work. So if anyone wants to check that out, I'd recommend it.
Okay, that's really good. Just a off-topic question. Are you around the
Sure.
Midlands or whereabouts in the UK are you? You don't have to give specific. You can give regions, and I'll kind of like tell.
Yeah, no worries. I'm currently in Northwest at the moment. I was in the Midlands for the university for the last 10 years or so. I did
Okay.
my undergraduate, my graduate studies, and then moved to the Midlands afterwards, Northwest afterwards.
Okay. It wasn't like Notts or Manchester or Birmingham, was it? Because if so,
Oh, no,
okay.
no, no. I was based just outside Coventry at the
Oh, okay,
university,
that's all right
not
then. That's all
not
right.
not Coventry University, but the other university around there. I won't mention the name.
Yeah, cool, cool, cool. That's cool because I don't know, you sound a lot like my mates, which is pretty cool. Honestly, it's actually been a pleasure, like a full-on pleasure, like having you join. This has been very entertaining. There are a couple of questions. We can quickly answer them. I think Lobster had like an additional question, and overall, just feel free to shout out anything that you have going on. Um, if you do want help trying to reach out to streamers, I don't know much streamers, but you mentioned Canute. I did used to speak to Canute quite a while ago. I can try and link you with him, but he's already a bodybuilder. But it'd be nice, like, to kind of like link a couple of people that I do know together. And yeah, there are a bunch of people in the server that I do think that have a lot of potential. There's Numbers. She's kind of like a small tier streamer, growing.
Awesome,
She's a staff member here as well. And yeah, yeah, feel free to ask as much questions as you can.
awesome. Yeah, I'd love to. I really appreciate the offer. That's really kind. Don't know who's think I'm sound American. Goodness me.
No, no, you don't. Just ignore that.
Full disclosure, I'm actually from Cambridgeshire originally, so I don't know where that's coming from. Uh, Looking for actual questions. Fat equals to 2,100 calories under pressure than 3,500. Yeah, so I would go for the 3,500 calories for losing a pound of fat. So if you want to lose a pound of fat a week, generally the deficit is about 3,500 calories, which works out conveniently to be around 500 calorie deficit per day. So that's my thoughts on that. Would I happen to know about maximum fat energy conversion rates or something amount of fat you can burn before? I can tell you that, man. I'm not a chemist, I'm afraid. But yeah, I go for my experience, always seems to be 500 calories deficit per day to lose a pound of fat in a week. No harm done. No harm done, Mimi. It's all good.
Okay.
Um,
Right. Did you have anything you
if
wanted to
you
say?
I'll say thank you for being here, guys. I don't know if anyone interested, but I'm running a what I call a fitness speed run. So anyone who's for gamers and streamers, don't have many here. But we're starting next Sunday, which is going to be 5 days of content from me, basically giving everyone the download of how I approach things, how I get people results, and incorporate fitness into their life.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a few coaches slots for coaching open as well. I do two options for that, which is a 6 week or a monthly one-to-one, which is me checking every day, me doing absolutely everything for you. If you don't switch your brain off, that's fine. If you guys want to reach out for me, happy to talk to you about that, see if it's right for you. Otherwise, I think the other shout out would be to mention again the Alpha Dogs community for men's mental health. I think that's a really important cause, and there's really cool guys over there. I play quite an active role over there. So you find them on Twitter and Discord as well. Basically check that out. They do really good work.
Okay, Chris. Quick request, right? Because I'm actually fascinated with this streamers into. I need a. Do you have a slogan for it? Is it just like streamers into athletes or something like that?
I haven't got a slogan yet. I'm
Okay.
happy to take guidance on it though. My current thing for Twitter is Fit Gamer Coach. You can check out my Twitter there. You can see more of my thirst traps on there and me doing my training, which is STR First, which is my business name.
Okay,
But I haven't
I
got a
had
slogan
one
for
just
that
now,
yet.
which was like streamer into grinder, but then that sounded a bit sus. What I am
Yeah,
gonna
as long as the
say,
E's in there, it's fine. The E in there, it's fine.
yeah, what I that was a joke, everybody. What I am gonna say is, if you do want, because I'm actually fascinated, and also speaking, with you prior to this, if you do want to have a segment within this community, where it's, you know, you said you have a showcase of the things that you want to show and present, etc. I am more than happy to help accommodate it. You know, we can probably try and find a different time slot. I am more than certain you probably want a time slot that's matches our time zone where it's not around this time. So something maybe like six
Hey man,
hours.
I'm used to it. I'm used to it. It's all good.
Yeah,
Streams are
6 hours
at
from
night,
now.
night hours.
Yeah, or on the weekend. And yeah, we can talk more
That's
about that
awesome.
because
Thank
I'm
you.
actually fascinated in it. And yeah, like my community, although you know it's fitness orientated, I assure you, 80% of the time, most people are using the voice chat playing games, and most people are trying to stream whether you know it's Minecraft, Roblox, Star Wars, Fortnite,
Yeah,
you
man.
know, or
Everyone's on a small streamer grind from
yeah,
Kick at the moment. Everyone's going for it. I respect that hustle, so I'm here to support people's health and that. Like
yeah.
people throwing themselves into 12-hour streams, they need to look after themselves and yet a couple hours of the day, you know?
Yeah, yeah, and it only really takes like between like 45 minutes to like max like 1 hour or plus, to kind of like and also focusing on your nutrition. Only like a small tweaks that people actually need to make in a diet, and it can help them. Like even if they're not, you know, a supermodel physique, it can help them with longevity, it can help them with good health. I personally appreciate that segment or that subsection in fitness because I personally believe it's way more achievable or easy to achieve by 99% of people than, you know, the, you know, athletic build, the aesthetics and, you know, the facade that exists, you know, like on TikTok, Instagram, etc. The more realistic, you know, we understand you're a normal individual. You want to at least work out, you know, work on your cardiovascular health, work on your nutrition, work on your diet. You know, be in a decent shape to the best of your personal ability relative to all the, you know, restrictions that you have, even if it's, you know, gaming, even if it's work, especially, you know, with lockdown that's happened. A lot of people who have or who work remotely, they still work remotely, so they kind of have that type of you know, streamer slash gamer lifestyle, because they're sat on their desk or sat in their kitchen on their
100%.
laptop,
100%.
and you know, and I think these type of information will be valuable for them, and it can be kind of like a cross genre or you know, cross, you know, subsection or subcategory kind of thing that you could also incorporate with your kind of like audience, because you don't necessarily have to just limit yourself to streamers, because although maybe like, you know, 5 years ago it probably was just streamers that were experiencing it, but nowadays it's pretty much everyone, especially with like everything's happening with like economies and businesses realizing it's probably cheaper to kind of like work or run remotely, and people, you know, still, although, you know, there isn't any lockdown and there isn't really any pandemic,
Oh
hopefully
yeah,
not
man.
anymore.
Everyone's living a streamer
Yeah,
lifestyle. They're
yeah,
just some are having fun doing it, some aren't.
yeah, yeah,
Some are playing games and some are playing
yeah,
other
and
games,
some
I
are
guess.
stress, yeah, some are playing games and some are playing games of life,
You could say
but yeah.
some are stressful and others are at work. So
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's actually, it's a blessing in disguise, and also shout out to Penguin for linking us together, and also Chris.
nice,
Honestly,
man.
thank you very much for stepping in last minute, and everyone, please do reach out to Doc. He's had like a family emergency, so just make sure to send your well wishes, and I mean, it's, I'm not going to jinx it, but I hope to have a segment either on Sunday or Saturday that's also with Chris. And I think I'll probably do it in a more podcast format because I personally like this more as like a personal interest, you know, than the more advanced questions. But yeah, thank you very much, Chris. Do you have anything else you want to say?
Well, thank you for having me. Hope everyone welcome me here. Good questions. Hoping to interact with you guys more in future. And yeah, thanks again.
Cool. Thank you to everybody who stayed to the end. Anybody wants to catch it up, please make sure to follow us, subscribe, do all the cool stuff. Take care, guys. Bye bye.